Okay.
You guys hear me?
Okay. So I should show my face. Now, we'll fix it. Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee. And we're going to call to order the meeting. And with the roll call, we have Ms. Heather Dunn, Mr. Doug Sutton, Ms. Nicole Eady, and myself, which makes a quorum. Okay. We're going to move on to acceptance of the minutes of the December 11th, 2024 meeting. There were only a few of us here, so I don't know if any of you were here last week. So I think we need to postpone that, to hold off on that. That's what we're going to do, Robert and Delene. I'm going to hold off on those minutes. I'm the only one present from that meeting.
Okay.
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 Okay. Public participation. Do we have anybody on the line?
Yes, I'm going to unmute Mr. Bonifant.
Okay. And let the record show that Ms. Shanahan has entered the meeting. Hi, Happy New Year.
You too.
Hello, Mr. Bonifant.
Oh, good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good luck. Good evening, Rich Bonifant, 17 Park Hill Avenue, for the record. I'd like to speak on the resolution. I think that's 6E, and it might be related to 6D with the park hours, okay? So, just want to say, approval for dog access at Oyster Shell Park. It didn't go through the Rec and Parks Committee at all, but it went through Finance. So you were left out of the process in the decision making. This was built already. There's a fenced in area I saw the other day, and now you're looking to turn it into a dog park, which you already did. So where was the public input? And maybe families with children would have liked to weigh in on this. So in your resolution, you happen to mention Cranberry Park and where they're allowed and where they're not allowed. And I see dogs all the time in places they aren't allowed, like on the Great Lawn and in the back and all over the walking trails there. On the side where it's made for people and not the doggy side there. I see dogs in Matthews Park, Vets Park. So I just want to know, who is that person that tells people dogs are not allowed in certain areas? I mean, is it a parks employee, a constable? Who is in charge of enforcement? Okay. Tonight, you're trying to tell the chief of police to kick people out of the parks at various times throughout the year. And he's telling you that he needs the resources to accomplish that in order to go along with the department's crime fighting priorities. Okay. Now you want the police to throw dogs out of the parks, or you're going to take care of that yourself? Or, you know, who is that? Who is in charge of that? I just want to say that you do build some beautiful playgrounds. You do. And then you let dogs scare off the families. So as a grandfather of 4 little ones, I'm asking you to enforce your rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonifant. Anyone else, Ms. Bird?
If anybody else would like to speak that does not have an item on the agenda, can you please raise your hand? No, we do not.
Thank you. Okay, so we're closing public participation and we're moving on to item 5.
I'm sorry, hold on, darling.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Garvey, I'm going to unmute you.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, great. Yeah, I was sorry, I'm totally unfamiliar with the proceedings. I guess I was made aware that the one of the items on the agenda was enforcing on leash only at Cranberry Park. And I guess I just wanted to give my 2 cents that I think one of the appeals of that park, something I really like about it, is that it is an off-leash park that you can go, you know, trail running with the dog. It's a great place for the socialization, especially the place adjacent to the orchard where they can run around. And I think there's a lot of other parks in Norwalk and surrounding Fairfield County that offer, on leash only experiences for people who, don't want to act with strange dogs. So that was my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Garvey. Is that it? I miss, okay, have someone
All
else.
that is that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Helms, you are unmuted.
Hi. Greg Helms. I'm a regular at Cranberry Park. I currently serve as chair of the Friends of Cranberry Park. There are hundreds of people at Cranberry Park who would be affected by this change that requires leashing dogs while hiking on the trails. Many of us think it's absurd. And many of us are on this call tonight. Well, some of them may not be willing to speak. So we have a strong objection to this dramatic change in our routine and comfort at the park. Thank you.
Mr. Helms? Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Madam Chair, can I just interject?
Sure.
I just want to clarify that with the plan for Cranberry, we're not banning leash dogs on the trails. So I'm just trying to go through the backup now to see what was actually posted, but that's not the case. Everything's going to stay as is. We're just outlining the rules, so they'll be part of the ordinance, which include no dogs on the Great Lawn, but they still are allowed on trails off leash, but under voice command.
And so maybe what we should do is just listen to folks and make notes and address it with the chief as well as we give our presentation. Mr. Helms, I see your hand is still up, and we're going to talk to is this Miss Jennifer?
Yes, Jennifer, you are unmuted.
Jennifer? I think I see that she's muted.
Yeah, she must be.
You have to unmute
think-
yourself.
Yeah, she's on the phone, so she's got to hit the star 6, I think it is, or something.
Okay.
In the
Is there,
yeah.
go ahead.
Mr. Coleman, you are unmuted.
Also, and let the record show that Mr. Lopez has joined us. Thank you. At 7:11.
This is Martha Coleman. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can speak. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I was a resident of Norwalk. I now live in Monroe. I drive all the way down there and pay your parking fee to allow myself and my dog to have time walking the trails. And I was concerned when I read in an email that you were going to ban the trail walk. So I'm relieved to hear that you're not. But I also want to mention that I frequently go there and never encounter anyone on the trails, particularly people with kids. I mean, in the back trails, most of the time they're at the playground or walking in the Great Lawn. So I think it would be sort of an overreach of authority to say, dogs cannot be allowed on the off leash on the trails, because it's a spectacular experience, and many dog owners use that. It's wonderful to be able to walk with your dog on the trail and particularly when there's very few people on them making use of them, except the dog owners. So I'm happy to hear that it was misinterpreted. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you. Miss Jennifer?
Yellow. Oh,
Mr. Helms,
Hello?
I think you spoke. Did you speak?
I did. I'd like to speak again, but I'll wait.
We don't normally do that, but we'll wait. Go ahead. Is there anyone else, Mr. Bird? Delene?
No, there is not.
Okay, Mr. Helm.
perhaps I misunderstood, but currently I believe dogs are not required to be on leash on the hiking trails, period. Now they are required to be either on leash or under this vaguely described voice control. So our dogs, hundreds of us, I'm not kidding, walk the parks daily, hike the trails daily, and our dogs run like deer throughout the parks. They're ostensibly within our control. We call them. We don't want to lose them. We beg them to come back, but they're dogs. Not hurting anyone, not bothering anyone. Is someone going to interpret that as outside of our voice control now going forward? Are we going to be fined? 95% easily of the people that we encounter walking through the hiking trails have dogs off leash. We all exchange pleasantries every time. This is a new imposition here. Am I wrong?
We will answer those questions when we get to it as part of our agenda. So this portion is the public participation, and we just want to hear your comments, but we will address them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Delene, is there anyone else?
There is, Ms. Price, I'm going to unmute you.
Hello, this is Catherine, aka Price Snedeker from Friends of Norwalk Dogs. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to say, as a 35-year resident of Norwalk and as a child, my grandmother's house backed onto Cranberry, so I really can go back to age 5, and I'm 57. Walked dogs at Cranberry Park off leash on the trails, and as long as you stay out of the mountain bikers' way, it's always been a pleasant and wonderful experience. And it truly is, being able to walk dog at Cranberry Park is a huge bonus for people that live there and people who live outside of Norwalk. So to me and my 52 years in Norwalk, that would be an incredible change. And really Norwalk Dogs fully supports dogs being off leash at Cranberry Park outside of the Great Lawn and the playground area. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I'm gonna unmute, Will.
Yes, I've been a resident of Norwalk for almost 20 years, and one of the attractions of Norwalk for me has always been Cranberry Park and the ability to freely walk your dog. It's an incredible, enjoyable experience. In my experience there's never been an issue between all of the participants of the park, whether you're riding bikes, throwing frisbees, or just enjoying yourself on a bike through the trails. It seems to me that it's always been enjoyable, and it would be hard to believe that that would ever change. So I'd like to support the ongoing experience that we've had for this past 20 years that I've been here, and continue with that in that spirit. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, you are unmuted. Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith, your mute is on if you want to unmute your microphone. Okay. We're going to move on to them. Is there anyone else?
We have no one else, no.
Okay. Mr. Smith? Okay. Okay. So we are going to close public participation and move on. And I apologize to Miss Jennifer and Mr. Smith. You were not able to unmute yourselves. But we'd be more than happy if there are any comments you'd like to write or submit to us or share, please feel free to do so. Okay. So we're going to move on to old business. 5A, authorize the mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement for the use of Brian McMahon High School and immediate surrounding grounds by Boston Build Up for their 10K run to be held on Sunday, January 19th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Set up time at 7:40 a.m. Sunday with tear down by 11:10 a.m. Approximately 150 people. Would somebody move the item, please? Thank you, Ms. Shanahan. So and before we begin, these items were on our last agenda, but we did not have a quorum, and the folks representing these items were there and did give explanations, and we kind of went through this whole process. So these next items, several items, are events that have taken place in the city for quite some time. So between Mr. Stowers and Mr. Hughes, they can probably just fill us in. So Ken?
Yep, and I believe Jim Gerwick is here to speak
Oh.
on the two Boston buildups.
I love it.
Yep.
Mr.
I'm here.
Gert, thank you for coming back.
Yep.
So you just want to tell us a little bit about your event?
Yeah, they're part of a long running, this will be the 47th
Right.
year of the Winter Series, and it's 4 races. And the first and the last race are in Norwalk. The first race is at McMahon. Normally it would have been 2 weeks ago or last Sunday, but the permitting got the town council did not meet in December, so they couldn't approve it. So anyway, it's rescheduled for the 26th. And then there's also the concluding races in March at Silver Mine Elementary. So I don't know if that's on the agenda for tonight or that'll be next week, next meeting, but
It is, it's item 6A.
okay, good. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay, perfect. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you, Mr. Gerwick. All right. 5B, authorize the mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement for the use of Veterans Park and immediate surrounding grounds by JS Endurance for their Garavelle Sono Half Marathon 5K and Kids Fun Run to be held on Sunday, October 5th, 2025 from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Set up time by 8 a.m. Saturday, October 4th, with tear down by 5 p.m. approximately 1,200 people. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Okay. Mr. Scott, who do we have here for this?
So this is the long-standing Stonewall Half Marathon. The Whipples were here last meeting.
Right.
I'm sure we're all aware of the Stonewall Half, but they've done a great job over the years, decreasing the impact of traffic. We get we don't get any complaints anymore in terms of traffic and delays. So I think they've done a good job accommodating residents.
And how many years?
Oh, geez. Let's say 13, 14.
All right. Any comments or questions from committee members? All in favor? Okay, thank you. 5C, authorize the mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into agreement for the use of Calf Pasture Beach, Taylor Farm, and immediate surrounding grounds by Norwalk Marine Manufacturers Association for their Norwalk Boat Show to be held on Thursday, September 18th, Friday, September 19th, Saturday, September 20th, and Sunday, September 21st, 2025, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Approximately 13,500 people. Someone move that item, please. Mr. Lopez, I saw your hand before you raised it. Who'd like to speak to that?
This is another longstanding event that we had in the city, the boat show. It's kind of our end of summer event.
Right.
A lot of people you know, and they use calf pasture and parts of Taylor Farm for parking, which actually works well for them, and we make some money also.
Great, great. All right, all in favor? Okay. Unanimous, thank you. 5D, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an amendment to the October 26, 2021 agreement between the city of Norwalk and Race Coastal Engineering for purchasing project 4154 design and permitting for replacement of Veterans Memorial Park Public Marina docks for a sum not to exceed $47,471 for construction administration services. Account numbers noted. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Ms. Shanahan. Okay.
So Madam Chair, this
Down.
is our ongoing marina dock reconstruction project. And we're at the part of the project now where we need to hire a construction manager. So the parameters for the construction manager were included in the original contract that was approved on October 26, 2021. So we're just instituting those terms of the contract. So we'll be going out to bid soon for the construction of the marina docks at Veterans Park.
How is that going to work with what's going on now? Is there any? You see all the setup.
Yeah, so they should be finished when we're ready to start the project. We're gonna time our project so it's in the off season for boating. So by that time, they should be done with the work on Seaview Avenue with the piping under the harbor.
Great. Any questions from council members? Committee members? Nope. All in favor? All right, unanimous again. Thank you. 5E, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to sign any and all documents required for the installation of a microforest at Meadow Street Park project, number noted, South Norwalk pavement to microforest urban resiliency project awarded through the Norwalk River Watershed Authority. Someone move the item, please.
I need to
Thank you, Ms.
recuse myself from this.
Perfect.
So I'll just go off and then I'll come back on.
Okay.
Can somebody just text me when I can come back on?
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
So,
Okay, someone move the item. Thank you, Miss Edie. Okay,
yeah, this is really a result of finding another use for this park, as we've had a lot of pushback not to continue this park in this area because of the industrial nature of the location. And we were looking for some green infrastructure that would help make the environment a little bit more natural. And we obtained a grant from the state. And so one of the trends in green infrastructure to get things quickly up are microforests. And so this is so this is a grant contract to receive the money to do just this, and we'll be working with the land trust to get this project completed. So it's a very interesting one. We our plan is to start planning next fall, and so Ken might want to add more to it in terms of where we are with the documents.
and did you have anything else to add?
No, just that this is a very exciting project. It's going to be one of the biggest microforests, and this is the first one I have done. So I can't wait to get this project started and to see how it grows throughout the years.
Yeah, Miss Edie?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I think I mentioned before, I'm excited to see what this is about, and if we could try to figure out if there's a way to have like a herb garden or something like that within this area here. So thank you. I just wanted to put that back on record.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. No, I mean, from a sustainability point of view, and given what not the land trust, sorry, the tree master plan that's in the works, there's been discussions about, really providing some tree canopy to South Norwalk, because it's been neglected, and because they're so close to the industrial zone there and stuff like that. So this is very exciting. The technology, or not the technology, but the way these microforests are actually developed, they're developed fairly quickly. And I think it's perfect timing. I think it's going to provide a lot of opportunities for the community in that area, starting with clean air. But yeah, I'm very excited and very happy this is happening.
Thank you. And I think this will be the first significant impact that's going to change the landscape of South Norwalk, particularly as you had mentioned. You know, we keep talking about South Norwalk has the lowest tree canopy, right? And so we're trying to improve that. And that herb garden idea, Miss Edie, I think is something that the Housing Authority can possibly do within their complex, even to build little gardens. So I think that's a great idea, even if it's not, you know, if it can't be outside of that. But I'm hoping that this sparks and encourages others in the area, you know, a lot of the companies to improve their properties as well. So this is a good thing. It's nothing but a good thing. So all in favor? Great, thank you. Can somebody call Lisa, please? Do you have her number?
I can text her right now, Chair.
Can you please text her? Thanks.
That's fine.
I just to ask a thought
Sure,
about that
sure.
while we're on the microforest thing. I
Mhm.
know I when we were working on the tree canopy a couple of years ago and the hot zone that was South Norwalk, it'd be really interesting to get some like baseline temperature readings of, you know, even a block away and stuff like that and see how it's impacted. That would be interesting data while we're at it.
And I think the contract, that's part of the contract. He's gonna do before and after readings of the microforest. And I think they're 2 or 3 years out also. So it will be interesting to see, absolutely.
Because I know the health department, we were talking about health impacts of
Mhm.
the hot zone. So that would be great for them to have access to. Thank you.
Right. We're moving on to new business. Waiting for Lisa to get back in there. 6A, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement for the use of Silver Mine Elementary School and immediate surrounding ground for Boston Build Up for their 10K run to be held on Saturday, March 2nd from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Setup time at 7:40 a.m. Sunday will tear down by 11 a.m. Approximately 150 people. Would someone move the item, please? Thank you, Mr. Lopez. And who's going to speak to that? Is it Gerwick again?
I'm Derek, yeah.
All right.
Yep, yeah.
I don't know how much there is to say about that. I wanted you to keep repeating that. Does
Yeah,
anyone have
same.
any same thing, right?
Yep, same thing, different day, different distance.
Yeah. So I don't think we have any questions about that. All in favor, unless you do? Okay, great. Thank you for hanging on, Mr. Gerwick, and for coming back.
All
Really
right, not a
appreciate
problem.
that.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. 6B, authorize a purchasing agent to enter into a multiple 3-year sole source agreement with Dunning Industries for the purchase of Dura Edge Classic Field Clay. Someone move that item, please. Mr. Sutton, thank you.
So, Madam Chair, the Park Department purchases what they call Dura Edge Classic Field Clay. That's the only type of clay that we use for all of our fields. It's a very good quality clay. It drains well. It's easy maintenance. And there's only one supplier in the Northeast that actually supplies that clay. It's Dunning Industries. So in meeting with the purchasing agent, she actually requested that we come before the board and receive approval to have a 3-year sole source agreement so we could purchase the clay that we need from Dunning Industries. And we do have a $12,000 a year budget within our operating budget for clay.
You said per year?
Per year.
Is there any, does the price go up and down? Does it fluctuate or?
It does. It does based on the cost of gas. It does based on the cost of materials. That's why we couldn't pin down a number in the approval.
Okay, so it will fluctuate.
It will fluctuate, and we still have to go through all the purchasing guidelines,
Right.
you know, that we do with the purchasing department.
Any questions from, I'm sorry, I think I asked a question. Did someone move the item? I think Mr. Sutton. Yes, okay. Anybody have any other questions? No? All in favor? Okay. Thank you. And so when's the purchasing of that material? So,
We typically start late winter, early spring, depending on the weather. And we purchase all throughout the year to replenish the fields as they're used throughout the summer and fall seasons.
great. Thank you. 6C, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to extend the geese relief geese control contract for an additional year per the terms of the existing agreement, with the extension ending July 26, 2026. Would someone move the item, please? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Shanahan. Okay.
So, Madam Chair, a few years ago, this board approved a 3-year contract for geese control services at Veterans Park and at Calf Pasture and Shady Beaches. And we used a company called Geese Relief. Within that contract, we had 2 one-year extensions. So we're looking to enact the first of those 1-year extensions, which would carry the existing contract to July 26, 2026. And the price actually remained the same.
How's it been working?
It's been the only thing that's worked for us to control the geese. They visit the sites 3 to 4 times a day. We tried coyote decoys. We tried a lighting system, and none of those really worked as well as the dogs.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Yeah. All in favor? All right. All right. 6D, Code of the City of Norwalk, 74-13 curfew. Hours for use of city parks by the public shall be established and may be amended from time to time to the Director of Parks and Recreation, subject to the approval of the Common Council. The Director shall submit the proposed schedule of hours to the Parks and Recreation Committee. The committee shall hold a public hearing thereon, which hearing shall conform to the requirements of State Statute 1-191.1. Following the public hearing, the committee shall forward the proposed schedule of hours to the Common Council for approval. This is a long one. Need to read all this, huh? Norwalk CT Recreation and Parks Director recommended park hours. City Charter, Chapter 74-13 gives the Recreation and Parks Department Director, the authority to set park hours with the approval of the Common Council after a public hearing in the Recreation and Parks Committee. Therefore, it is my recommendation, the recommendation that Norwalk Park hours are set as follows: neighborhood and pocket parks. 1 September Labor Day to May Memorial Day, proposed hours 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 2 May Memorial Day to September Labor Day, proposed hours are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Regional Parks, September Labor Day to May Memorial Day, proposed hours 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Except Veterans Park, proposed hours 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. May Memorial Day to September Labor Day, proposed hours 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Oyster Shell Park, Calf Pasture Beach, Taylor Farm, and Cranberry Park, except Veterans Park, proposed hours 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Would someone move the item? That's a lot. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Stowers?
Yes, this item was brought before the Rec and Parks Committee not our last meeting, but I think the meeting before last. And it was passed. There was a public hearing. It was passed. It went on to the Common Council, where through a lot of discussion, it was tabled. And tabled and sent back to this committee to listen to some of the concerns that were voiced there. I think I just want to go through a little bit here. You know, I, as the director and my staff, we conducted a limited survey of surrounding city park hours. And the results, as we look at the survey, I'm going to give you a few cities. Stamford, Connecticut, their general park hours are set there from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Bridgeport, park hours are from 8 to 9 p.m. Westport, park hours are from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Wilton, general park hours are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Besides the grounds maintenance, capital improvements, park uses, programming, park management, also includes setting hours for city parks, opening and closing. This is a way of managing security and oversight of the park and establishing hours for parks and neighborhoods. Additionally, our current set times for opening and closing our parks are now done with us. We are kind of a oddity in our area. We're surrounded by cities that have established park hours. So I was making these recommendations based on the survey and based upon feedback from staff, looking at also in my talks with the Norwalk Police Department, and these are the benefits I think we will get from setting hours. Of course, it would secure our parks at night, it would regulate time activities, and it would allow neighborhoods and communities to have some relief from the noise. It will give public specific information about the time of opening and closing. It will also let people who are using parks a more definite time for arriving and leaving the park. That's also, it will curb illegal activity in the late hours in the park. It will also give police specific time to move people along. One of the things that weren't mentioned in the last time in the discussion was when we talked, our hours were from 7 a.m. I think people took that assumption that we were changing hours. Our hours now are, we don't open the parks now until 7 a.m. So that was our current time we're opening the parks. So I guess bringing this back before the committee, I did ask Chief Walsh to chime in and give his position on this initiative. So I'll let him talk.
And thank you, Chief. And I just want us to stress too, one of the things that came up, particularly with the beach, was that people walk earlier in the morning. And so that came up as a concern because we're now being specific and saying 7 a.m. Were we going to have some leniency? And of course, I think that we are. We're not going to tell folks you can't walk in the park.
Yeah, we actually don't open the beach gates until 7 a.m. So what people do is they park right outside the gates and they walk at 5:30 a.m. and nobody bothers them.
Nobody bothers them. And we don't expect that to change.
No,
we don't. No.
And I think the other issue, Chief, and I'm just mentioning, I think there were some comments made about how would you enforce this in maybe like Vets Park and some other places. So we just want to hear about that a little bit. And welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, earlier discussions with Robert the past few months when this item was being discussed, we went over some statistics. The past 2 years, especially in the summer, right now we have some significant issues at the parks. Just when that was significant in regards to like something very violent, but just with a lot of call volume. Right now, the officers who are assigned to the parks do the extra work assignment have to close. One officer has to close 4 parks. So he goes from headquarters to Cranberry Park, to Flax Hill Park, to Oyster Shell Park, and then to Vets Park. So if we were to standardize and codify all regulated, if we knew exactly when to close the parks, I think that and implement that, we would do a much better job in solving a lot of the problems that we've seen. Last year alone, we had 498 calls for service at Vets Park. Within the summer, we had 59 noise complaints. The noise complaints were coming in from all the neighbors. I live along Seaview Avenue and some of the restaurants along the water there. It became a significant issue that rose all the way to the mayor's office, where we had to address, and we were actually pulling patrol units from patrol sectors to close the park and take care of the issues, because the parks units were just they were just overextended dealing with the other park issues. So I think that in a plan that I've discussed with Robert, once we establish standardized closing times, we'll implement a plan through extra work and the police department to have better coverage and to close these parks on time, to better relieve some of the neighbors' concerns of noise, because Vets Park is probably our biggest concern with loitering, minor drug activity, open containers of drinking, and noise. Noise is a significant issue with the loud cars and the speakers, and there have been times where you could hear it in South Norwalk. So I think fully support of standardizing these closing times.
Can't hear you, Darlene. Can I ask a question, Chief Ross?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Dunn. Sorry.
The noise ordinance, I know up here in Silver Mine, it's a huge issue at the school with the music. You know, a lot of the soccer players are in their cars with the amped music going. The ordinance is that they have to stop at 10 o'clock. Is that right?
The current noise ordinance in the city of Norwalk is difficult to enforce. The first violation is a warning. The noise
Aligning them, like, do these hours align with when they have to stop making noise or no?
Yes, and more or less, even if it's at 8:30 at night, if it's disturbing the quality of life, if you're sitting on your porch trying to have a barbecue in your backyard and you live along Seaview Avenue, or you're sitting at one of the restaurants along First Street there, or over in South Norwalk, it was a constant quality of life issue, starting around Memorial Day that carried through the good weather in September. Noise ordinance is it's a process. It's a process to enforce currently the way it's written. First violation is a warning, and we have to use noise meters and take ambient noise. And sometimes the ambient noise readings are more loud than what we believe is the source, because we're a big, busy city and there's a lot of things moving at the same time.
You have any more? You have another question, Ms. Dunn?
No, I was just thinking if people really have to stop making noise, say, I don't know, by ordinance by 10 o'clock, closing the park at 10 o'clock, you may want to close it a half hour earlier to get them to stop playing the music. I don't know, just my thoughts on the situation. I know my neighbors have a huge issue with it up here. So I'm sure Seaview Avenue is really loud too. Cranberry Park, I know residents have had issues too there. So
and sometimes there's a car driving along Seaview Avenue or going over the 4-Point Bridge, I should say the Staffanino Bridge, that's playing loud music, and along that area it just amplifies and just carries. So by the time an officer gets notified of the report and we go there, it's hard to identify who is the violator. Now, as we go in the park and see someone, I think last year they actually arrested an individual who had speakers the size of like what you should have inside your house, outside in a hatchback, and he was blaring music. So we were able to identify and arrest him. But noise complaints and just regular quality of life issues have been a significant issue the past 2 summers as Vets Park has become more popular.
And Ms. Shanahan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just was going to ask more about criminal activity. I know that noise is a hard thing to sort out, and depending upon what neighborhood it is, if it's in South Norwalk, of course, you can make noise until 11. So, and I know what your limitations are there, but would you say that most of the criminal activity complaints that you get are also towards the, within the hours that we're talking about, or outside of the hours? Can you, kind of describe what kind of criminal activity we're having in the parks and how that's addressed with these hours?
Probably some of the parks is, now that cannabis is legal, it's not legal to smoke openly in city parks. That's been an issue. Open container of alcohol, glass containers. Usually in the late afternoon, some of our parks, Cranberry Parks, we do see loitering and minor drug activity and consumption of alcohol. And that would go the same along Vets Park there in the late afternoons, that loitering along the Norwalk River there. We've a couple of arrests have been made there. It's usually it's kind of low key, but it does occur, and we keep on top of it as best as we can.
Any other questions for the chief? Or for Robert? So chief, so do we give warnings or are we just, or fines? Like, how does that, or arrests? How does that work?
Well,
So say, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, if it's a situation like I described where someone had like the size of house speakers in their car, that's going to
Right.
be an on-site arrest. You know, it's very, very difficult in a city of this size, a city that is growing at the
Yep.
rate it is, with the parks and the parks and the popularity of the city of Norwalk, and cars driving by, to discern ambient noise by an offender noise. And that's what the police have to do. The burden is on them to identify the source of the noise and to discern ambient versus offender noise. But at the same time, if we see somebody at Vets Park with all the windows down and they have speakers and it's actually vibrating the cars next to them, that's kind of plain view on-site arrest that we could do something with, and that has occurred. But you know, like I said, a lot of times it's just people driving by Seaview Avenue, and a lot of activity sometimes gets associated with the park because they're coming in and out of the park. But you know, the park has become very popular in the past 3 or 4 years.
Any other questions? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to add, the intent of this is not to keep people out of our parks. The intent is to keep illicit activity out of the parks.
Which is what we would hope, because we want people to go to the parks, use the
Absolutely.
parks. So, okay, all right. So if there are no more questions. What, does anyone remember any other questions that were brought up at our council meeting, at the meeting? Do you think we've covered them all?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that too. I know there was one specific park, I'm not sure where it is, but I think it's in around District 8 where people walk late at night in the
Oyster
middle.
Shell. Yep, Oyster Shell.
Okay, yeah. And they wanted to know, was that going to be okay, or is somebody going to get approached and, you know, being forced to leave the park just for like walking through?
No, I don't think the intent is to, and I'm not gonna speak for the chief, is to stop people from walking through the park after hours.
Yeah, I don't even think if I have to recall my memory, is there even a mechanism to close that park over the bridge? Because if you
No,
park
because
on the
it's part of the NRVT.
yeah, if it's part of the Norwalk River Trail. So if you park in that parking area off North Water Street behind the mall, you can walk freely over the bridge and into Oyster Shell Park. So there's really no mechanism or gate to stop people from walking there late at night. But the officers do patrol it and just make sure everything's okay as part of that parks patrol.
You.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Edie. Ms. Dunn?
I know that, I think Barbara raised the walking at the beach thing. The hours that were put in front of at the council meeting, were they the same, or was 7 o'clock, was originally 8 that they were worried about? And now it's 7?
No, it
I
was,
think it was 7.
State
yeah,
7.
current hours are 7. That's when we open the parks, and that was what was proposed. Nothing was changed about how we open the gates. It's 7 o'clock.
And the reason being, that's when our staff starts. Our staff comes in at 7, so they open the gates when they come in, and then we have staff on site when it's open.
And then I think the issue was the folks who walk early in the morning, so we're not gonna stop people from being able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anything else? All right. So all in favor? All right. That's unanimous. Thank you so much, Chief.
You're welcome. Have a nice evening.
You too. 6E, resolution concerning the regulation of dogs at city parks. Would someone move that item? Thank you, Ms. Edie. Mrs. Stowers?
Yeah, this is really prompted by us starting to look at our park codes, which I think really have never been approved by the council. At least I don't have any proof of it. But what really initiated us to come this early was the opening of Oyster Shell Park. And Oyster Shell Park, right, currently, there's no dogs allowed in our parks. They're only allowed in dog parks. Off leash or unleashed, doesn't matter. They're not allowed in our parks. The dilemma became, if they're not allowed in our parks, then how, in only dog parks, how do they get to the dog park if it's in the middle of the park? So, it became necessary to allow the dogs on leash, as long as they're on leash in Oyster Shell Park, to then be leashed into the dog park where they can run freely. At the same time, there was there's kind of a contradiction in terms of our park codes, and we're going to be incidentally, we're going to be working with the law department to actually go through all our park codes and really bring them before the council and really get them adopted legitimately. But there was a contradiction in terms of whether you could actually allow dogs off leash in Taylor Farms. And dog parks are for off-leash dogs. I mean, that's why they were created historically. And I've been in the park business now for about 45 years. So that's why they were created. So we in the resolution, you'll see that Taylor Farms, we say dogs shall be allowed off leash in Taylor Farms. And then we also looked at Cranberry, and I don't know what either there's a mistake in the posting, but through public debate, public comment today, they were talking about they had to have their dogs leashed on the trails. Quite the opposite is we are allowing, and maybe here, I don't know which version people might have, but right here, I think we could correct the language so that it reads, the dogs should be allowed on the trails at Cranberry Park on or off leash, or voice control, by the owner. And it also goes further into the saying that in the dog park, that the dogs can be taken off leash and run. So I don't know which version they're seeing online, but that wasn't our intent. So if the language needs to be changed here by the version you have, I'm not sure what version we have now.
I checked online, Robert, attached to the agenda, and the correct version is
Okay.
online. It says dogs
Okay.
shall be allowed on the trails at Cranberry Park while on leash or under voice
Oh.
control.
Okay.
So that's the correct version.
Okay. So that is, we were just cleaning up, we're trying to clean up. So we have a resolution that we need to consider. Also, at the same time, because we want to open up the Oyster Shell Dog Park tomorrow, we can't possibly wait for the common council to approve this. So the city attorney says that the director has authority to do a temporary rule change with the approval of the council. That the council will have to, the common council will then have to come back and ratify it and approve it to continue the temporary rule change. So, so we want to issue that temporary rule change tomorrow, and we want to open the dog park. So that's. So if there's any questions?
Do you have any comments or questions for Mr. Stowers? No? We're all, okay, Miss Edie.
Sorry, just to be clear, because I heard one of the comments about the children. So that's totally separate from where the children will be, where the dogs can be unleashed. That's the trails and all that's totally separate from where the children will be playing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
Okay,
and the dogs are not allowed on the Great Lawn,
On the playground.
or the playground.
yeah, okay.
You have to
But
stay
that
on the
doesn't
trail.
mean that kids are not gonna be in the presence of those dogs, right?
Yeah.
If they're in that park area,
Well, yeah,
right?
there's an enforcement element that has to
Right.
be,
Right.
considered. But the dogs can be allowed on the trails and in the dog park. So that's primarily where we want them. Of course, it depends on the owner and it depends on, but that's what we're putting forth to you tonight.
And Madam Chair, nothing changes, nothing's changing than what is there right now. I actually pulled up a picture of a trail etiquette sign that we have posted at Cranberry. And the signage says all dogs shall be kept under voice command or leash control by their owners at all times. So nothing's changing in terms of the functionality of Cranberry Park and dogs.
Someone have a question? Oh, Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Sowers, so yeah, just so I understand, so this resolution essentially balances safety, public enjoyment, and the animal well-being, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's okay. So that's what I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thanks.
So the concerns that were raised about Cranberry Park, I think it's along the same lines as what you mentioned, correct, Mr. Stowers?
Well, as Ken said, their concern was that nothing should change, and nothing is going to change, basically.
Say that again, nothing changed?
Nothing changes
Right.
at Cranberry Park. Nothing changes. So their concerns, they got a hold of something else. They got a hold of some other version or something, or some rumor, but no, nothing changes.
Right. I just wanted to hear that
Mhm.
record.
Yeah.
Miss Edie?
Really quick, so who will enforce it if the dogs are not kept on the leash in the playground area?
Yeah, so enforcement, citywide goes to the dog warden. So we would call the PD and they would send up the dog warden.
That was one of the questions raised.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. I don't know. So all in favor of this? Let's see. All right. Unanimous. Thank you, everybody. All right. We're going to move on to 7, discussion, budget discussion of the operating and capital budgets. Mr. Stowers?
Yeah, I guess what we want to do is just give you kind of an overview of what we are requesting in this year's budget. And I know that various council members and may see other needs and may even see a need to advocate other things for us. But generally, we've gotten a directive to keep our budget at a level of not to come in above a certain percentage. I think it's 3.5. And so there won't be a lot of change in terms of, a lot of extra money or anything like that. But we find a way to kind of orchestrate things in such a way that, offloading some things, sunsetting some things, deciding which programs may not be working, shifting our money to other programs and looking at ways to do things differently. But the main things I think in our budget this year, and we'll be more specific as it comes to you. But we're asking for we're anticipating this community recreation center. And of course, as you may know, we were a little short in terms of the construction money, about 2.5 million. We're going through a special appropriation process right now. And tonight, just before this meeting, we had our 3rd session on the special appropriations. Of course, it's passed all 3 committees so far. We have finance tomorrow. And hopefully it'll pass finance, so we'll have a 2.5 to finish the construction. But there was a lot of value engineering and cutting a lot of things out. Over 1 million, we had to cut out about eliminate, not just defer. We had to eliminate about $1.2 million worth of items. And in those items, I think that some stuff was overbuilt. I'll give you an example. There was, I don't know, 69 cameras in the place, way too many. I don't know. They were building it like a school, you know, and those cameras are needed in schools, but not so much in community centers. Although we did keep what we thought we needed. Some of the AV equipment that were in the different meeting rooms and came in very, very high, where we could go buy this stuff, you know, for probably a third of the price, you know. So we took the things out that we could actually go and purchase through our furniture and flooring and equipment. We still have about $360,000 in that, and then we have contingency. So we're figuring we can get some of that and maybe put some of it into our capital budget as well. So we'll probably be asking for some of the stuff that was deferred in our capital budget. I know we're asking for also in our capital budget, we're asking for a couple of vans for the community center for transportation. But in terms of operations, we're asking for some money to retain our arborist until we can make her full time. Currently, there's a lot of demand for her all over the place. Every department just is about using her, including Oak Hills Golf Course, okay? And me and Ken have to pull her back from all this stuff, but she's very skillful, very knowledgeable, and hopefully we can start to build, not only think of her as an arborist, but start to build a natural resource unit. And so we want to keep her. So that's we're asking for a manager for the community center, because we will need a manager. We also need some more professional recreation, team leaders, you know, but at this point, we're not asking for those positions because one, probably not enough money. Two, we need to grow into the place. And so we're going to use some of our existing staff, we're going to rotate them in and out. We're going to have money for, Ken had put some money in for some supplies and some things we'll need there. Also, we will use a lot of our money for instructors because there's a lot of structured programs. So we're going to be hiring instructors through our purchasing department. And also we want to, I've been working with Jared and Tom to try and bring on our systems analyst full time. She's been part time for many, many years. She is the person that handles all our reservation and our financial system, and a really integral part of our work, and we need to make her full time. We're trying to do all this without really increasing money. We're trying to move things around, and there's some slight increases, but mainly this is what we're doing out of our existing budget, and just moving things around. In terms of our capital, let me just give you a quick overview. In terms of our capital, let me see if I still have it here. I think one of our main projects, we've got to get Broad River Complex done. We have to get that done. It's been hanging around, and we've been setting aside money for it. We finally have a design, and so we got to push that out. So we're going to be asking some money for that. Calf Pasture Beach, there's some things we need to do there. There's a area where we want to completely enclose one of our pavilions so we can make space for our summer camps and have some area for them when there's inclement weather, when the weather's too hot. And also it'll provide us a rental facility for revenue. At the same time, the mayor has constantly been on us about the porta potty there. Get rid of them. But we need another facility. So there's units and there's various units, companies make various units that actually tie the systems to the sewer and the water. One such that we're looking at called Portland Loo out of Portland. It's stainless steel. It's a very easily maintained facility that will allow us to have a clean, sanitary area for people to go to use the restroom without the smell and that kind of stuff. So we're looking at 2 of those at Calf Pasture Beach. We are also want to finish our sign project. So we're asking for somewhat money to finish that sign project. So we'll have consistent signage all over through our parks in terms of colors, in terms of information, and so make our parks really look really good. So we're asking for some money for that. And we continue to work on our new Parks garage at Tito Court. So as you know, we had 1 garage when I first came here, and now we have 2, but Ken has had his tradespeople basically doing most of the construction. It looks good. It looks good. They've done a very good job. Sustainability, of course, is important. We're moving toward more electric blowers and electric equipment. So we're asking for some money for that as well. School playgrounds, we have some money again for 2 school playground renovations. And one of the things that we need to start really talking about and Jared had some good ideas about it, is what are we going to do when our synthetic fields kind of come to their life cycle? And it doesn't really matter whether we continue with turf or, it's decided down the road to go back to natural turf. It's still going to cost money either way. So we need to start planning for that because we have, I think, 7 or 8 fields now, and the life cycle is only 10, 12 years. So we need to start planning that. So we brought that up in our discussions.
Robert, can I ask a question about that? So when do you all feel that that's going to be a concern? In the next couple of years, next
couple of years, I think 2 years, Ken, for the.
Yeah, we actually put it starting 2027. We have to start looking at Brian McMahon complex.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So those are kind of the highlights of our budget. We are, we're in the midst of just a lot of growth. I mean, we still have. We're still working with the grassroots to try and put the tennis bubble. They're back again. We're taking some of the responsibility for some of the utilities installations. So we'll be working with them. Hopefully we'll get that bubble up in the fall. Recreation Center, of course, won't open until right after the turn of 2025. That's going to be a big thing as well. And one of the things that we need to do, and maybe we can get some recommendations from this essentially the Recreation and Parks Committee, we need to put together an advisory council for that community center. They need to work with the managers and our recreation superintendent So the community is really involved in that recreation center. So, but a lot of growth. We're doing a lot of things. Our summer camps have, wow, they just, we went over 1,000 kids this year, over 1,000 kids. Our revenues grew almost a third from our camps. So we're doing a lot of new programs. We got a lot of, I think, a good future in front of us to continue to grow. So I don't know if you have any questions about specific things that you might see that Parks, Recreation and Parks that we need to advocate for in the budget. Since we haven't been to BET yet, we went before the finance and it was a discussion. We basically ran through our operating budget, ran through our capital budget, but no decisions came back to us. So if there's some things that are concerns you guys, the committee has, I'd welcome it.
I think I would look to you all to say, out of all the things that you mentioned, do you feel like most of that will get done? And if not, what would then be your priorities as a department? You'd like, what would need to be done? Because I know it's a difficult process. I mean, I don't know how we even make decisions anymore.
I think the things that I mentioned
Are the ones.
will get done. We have a marina project that we're working on too, and for a long time. Ken's a little closer to that. He probably can give you some information on our marina project. We're just trying to get the things that we've been putting off, or we've been incrementally making progress, trying to complete those so we can get on to newer things.
Right. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Sowards. Quick question. The 7 or 8 fields that you mentioned that are envisaged to be installed or created, what's the life cycle? You said the life cycle is 10 to 12 years. Is that for artificial turf, or is that
artificial turf?
For artificial turf. And so for artificial turf versus typical regular natural grass, do you know what the life cycle would be for those?
Well, as long as you maintain the turf in good condition, the turf, natural turf can last forever. The problem we have is we don't have enough fields so we can rest our natural turfs so that they can regenerate the nutrients that it takes for them to be healthy.
So maintenance, it depends on the level of maintenance and that sort of thing. Okay.
But if we put in new turf fields, natural turf fields, we wouldn't do that again without irrigation. So it's going to be, either way, it's going to be a cost.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not sure whose hand was up, but I don't see Ben's face. So I'm going to go with Miss Shanahan.
Yeah, I think I was next.
Okay. I wasn't. Okay.
I know my hand's like it's very.
Yeah, I was like, I think I see.
I need
something.
a different color. You can't really see it in the background.
You need that big finger. Like
I know.
sporting events.
Yeah.
So anyways, I have a couple of things. First of all, I want to endorse all of Robert's comments about the fantastic job that Sarah Cruz is doing. I mean, she's become almost indispensable in the 2 years that we've had her so far. She's just fantastic. And I think I hope she's been a big help to you guys. She's been a super help to a lot of us in some of the projects we have. So I would really love to be supportive of finding funds to keep her, because she's just great. She's got a wonderful presence. She's been working with the conservation community and giving speeches and things. Wonderful presence in those types of opportunities too. So tell us how we can be supportive of keeping her. You guys know how I feel about turf fields, so I just wanted to noted that I am really concerned about PFAS and turf fields, and the Broad River I know is going to be contentious in this city. So I note that I'm just concerned. But the thing that I wanted to hear more about is the community center, because one of the things that you're talking about is how tight money is. And I know it in this budget season, and, we're still trying to make the transition now that we have fewer commercial residents, commercial buildings that we're taxing, and residents are taking more of the burden. So I know that we're really conscious of taxes, but I'm wondering if there's some fee-based programs that you're thinking that might be showing up in the community center that might underwrite some of this work. You know, maybe the developer, you were talking about having a development officer there, things like that. So do you have some thoughts about maybe some revenue generating that might happen within the department?
Yes, we have 3 community rooms there that we're gonna work with. There's a lot of nonprofits in town that don't have a place to meet, don't have a place to have their, meetings and celebrations or whatever. So, we've actually projected, and I've done it based upon my experience and talking to people who have similar sized facilities. And a lot of community centers around the country are in rich areas. So, people will say, well, it's gonna be in South Norwalk, it's not gonna be much. It depends on how you manage the area and how. I think that with the city managing this place, and I've already projected probably within maybe that first year, second year, but about $400,000 to $500,000 that we can raise over the 2-year period through rentals. Well, the YMCA is going to be there, as you know. We're going to integrate them into our system as a provider. We want the business to seem seamless. We don't want it to seem like the YMCA is over here and the parks is over here. No, we want to look at them as just a provider. We're going to run summer camps out of there as well. So we'll be making money through the summer camps. We want the advisory council to be responsible for generating ideas and maybe even writing grants or whatever to help with the facility. So we thought of a lot of different things. But as we open, a lot of our staff can actually be at the facility. They're here doing their work. They can be at the facility doing the work. It's kind of, I don't know if I'm cutting my arm off or whatever, because people will say, well, you got enough staff, right? But there's more specialized staff that we need. We need team leaders, people that have been trained to be team leaders. We need people that know how to do conflict resolution with the teams. We need people who know youth at risk programs. We also need to partner with a very, very excited about partnering with the police for late night programs. So I think we will grow into it, but community centers, if they're run properly, they seem to take more money than you think they will pay. And it's really a place for the kids to have somewhere to go. Really, it amounts to that in the long run. That some kids are just going to be hanging out. Some kids are going to be playing on the sports team. Some people are going to be taking music lessons. Some are going to be taking kitchen, learn how to cook in the kitchen. Some are going to be working out. It's a much larger facility than you would think, because we're talking about 33,000 square feet of space, which if you include the gym. So those are the ideas we have right now. But hopefully we can grow into it and be supportive. And we're still looking for that one person or 2 people that can start a park foundation. So still looking for that, Bill Gates. So we're still looking for that person. So once we get that person will be able to actually generate enough, I think, excitement to build a board and to help us with the parks and park improvements and the community center.
All right, Ms. Dunn?
I have 2 questions. So the easy one is, can you give us an update on what's going on with the North River Valley Trail and connectedness? Are you involved in like
I
expand?
can't do that.
All right.
I can't do that.
Yeah, so no, we're not actually involved in the in the expansion of the trail. We always come in at the last minute for maintenance. Um, but yeah,
Well-
we're not involved with the planning.
So
Yeah.
I thought they just added a whole nother section. You don't have to
They did.
do anything with that or,
No, they only come, our part in the whole thing is maintenance. And right now, I think Vanessa and I have talked a little bit, and I know Ken and Chris Torrey. We're trying to make some kind of agreement with them that we'll do the maintenance, but they have to find the money.
I think
So,
my question was mostly about the tree, you know, I guess it's
the
big.
tree maintenance along the trail.
The ones that they've planted, some of them look like they're
Oh.
in great shape. And that's Sarah Cruz, right? Does she oversee that or? No, she doesn't. Okay. Rob, thank you.
That was probably part of the original project when they installed the original project, the original trail.
Okay. And so my second question is, I was just talking to a principal and he was saying that we have like the only cricket field in Fairfield County or something in the front of
Onus?
Honest School, which is why that can't be a, you know, a softball field or anything for the kids. Can you tell me a little bit about the cricket and what they do and how that is part of Norwalk? I'd never knew anything about it or have seen it. So
Yeah, so we actually have one cricket league that's been there since I've been here. So at least 16, 17 years. And we actually just had a second contact for an additional Fairfield County Cricket League that wants to use PONUS as well. But at the PONUS front field, we have a cricket pitch. We also have 2 soccer fields and a baseball field. So it's not exclusive to cricket. So we do line soccer fields there as well in the fall. You know, and we schedule it so, you know, they're not playing concurrently.
is that something that they not could move to Oak Hills or something, or is it's always got to stay with the schools? Because I know that they're getting tight.
Yeah, it doesn't have to stay with the schools. I mean, if there is another site that they can use, you know, they do have certain parameters that they need in order to play cricket. And PONUS is one of our sites that fulfill those parameters in terms of space and having the pitch in the middle of the field. So like we just can't stick them at Ludlow Park, for example. You know what I mean? They need some specialized room in order to play cricket. So, but it's not that the cricket at PONUS is not limiting us on other uses. Like I said, we have baseball there and we have 2 soccer fields there as well. So it's not hurting us.
Some concern from the schools that the kids didn't have enough place to go out and play, or so the older kids,
No, I mean,
the younger kids for outdoor space.
yeah, if you look at the Google Maps, if you look at the center of the field on PONUS, you'll see there's an area probably 4 by 12 that's clay. That's it, and the rest is grass.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I mean, PONUS is one of the bigger school fields that we have, so I'm not really sure what the issue is. And they're only there on the weekends, so they're not there when school's in session. So, you know, in my opinion, it's not affecting the use of the field at all.
I want to go watch now.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, or were you ready to wrap up, Mr. Stowers? Was there anything else you wanted to share with us?
no, I just wanted to do that, but I'm happy to, you know, to bring forth any information or anything you might want at various meetings. So
No pickleball?
I just bought pickleball paddles, so I guess I got to use them.
well, actually, in the other meeting, I just talked about pickleball being we're going to open them up into I think 2 or 3 schools this fall. We're working with Sandra Files just to line up which schools we're going to use for pickleball. But it should be announced in the next few weeks.
So I just want to, for my mind, Mr. Stowers, so from your presentation about the budget, keeping Sarah is important. I mean, so when we look at the positions or that you're needing, I think it's
Yeah,
right?
keeping
That's a
Sarah-
critical thing.
Keeping Sarah and making Joanna full-time.
Okay,
Yeah,
Assistant.
and just so you're aware, Madam Chair, we're only asking for half of a year's salary for the arborist because her grant carries her to December 2025. So we're only asking for 6 months of salary in this budget, so it's not even a full request. But we do need to make that position permanent, otherwise we lose her.
And the same for the, community center manager, right? Yeah.
community center, okay.
Yeah, and then the assistant, so those three. But we're not asking for, like, give us money for each position. You know, but there is a slight increase in our operating budget that we're asking for, but it's just a little bit over what they wanted us to stay.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, when we got the pro forma budget, which included all the wage increases, we were a little bit above 3%. Even after all of our requests, Robert and I got it down to 2.99. So we did ask for those additional positions, but we also took money away from other accounts, so we weren't killing the budget. So we actually came in under their pro forma, which include all the union increases and things. So I think, Robert and I did a good job with.
If
know,
you
keep it tight.
accomplished that, you did a great job.
Yeah,
If you came in like that, you did a great job.
yeah.
So any other thoughts, comments? All right. Well, thank you. I don't want to sound like a broken record or I'm like Mr. Stowers' greatest fan, but I am, along with Ken Hughes. And it's just been amazing of where this department has come from and where we're headed. And so I so appreciate your leadership, Mr. Stowers, and Mr. Hughes, your commitment and your knowledge and just everything that you do for the city and supporting Mr. Stowers and keeping this going. We're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, agreed.
We want to
Thank
stay
you.
this way, so thank
Yeah,
you.
I want to say, shout out to Kim too, you know. I think my model was there was a superintendent that, well, Seattle, they call him superintendent, but that over everything. But he and his deputy always were together. And that's when the park department grew the fastest. And because they had their heads together all the time. And Ken's always there. I mean, always there, even more than I would expect him to be. So I have to say that he's really been a help to me.
Appreciate it. Appreciate everything. So thank you so much.
Hey guys, thank you.
I'll expect lunch tomorrow. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you for coming and have a great evening and stay warm.
Yeah.
Take care, you too. Thank
Meeting
you.
adjourned, all in favor? Or so, there we go, Mr. Everybody.
I oppose.
You oppose? You can hang out, Mr. Lopez. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Delene.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.